was going to ask this since you're on the Federal Reserve. As far as bringing back a standard to give our money value, since we have pretty much nothing backing our currency now, I think I remember you saying you weren't in favor of bringing back a gold standard. I guess because of manipulation and things that happened in the past. What's your solution for that?
Yeah, and again, probably just a little bit more for the audience. Like the dollars that we have that are printed, they're not backed by anything. So a lot of this deficit spending that they have going on is really, just money printing. Like for instance, what came up in the first debate when the Republican was asked about the TARP banker bailout, he said one of the reasons he supported it was because they were going to increase the insurance on the FDIC, what's in your bank accounts. So it would increase the amount exempted. The reality is, like, the FDIC has gone bankrupt. They're negative $15 billion in the debt if you go back and read their quarterly banking profile. And how are they backfilling? Because banks are failing every week continuously. I think there's like over 1,000 banks of our nation's 13,000 banks that are actually on the watch list to fail. And again, how are they backfilling it? They're just money printing. And I think that that defies logic. And I have a plank over there, Sound Money and Jobs. It defies logic that you just print this money off the printing press, and everything's going to be fine. Temporarily, it may work because they'll give it again. What ends up happening when they print up money is they give it typically to the corporations and these special interest groups. They get to use the money first. And what ends up going back to, this money printing ends up being a tax on the poorest people in our society, the poor and the middle class. They get, they'll see the money very, very late in the game, and they'll actually be, put out of business when they see the price of healthcare go up, or when they see the price of food go up, or the price of gasoline go up. That's the results of having a very unsound monetary policy. Now back to, solutions. I think that a lot of the solutions are actually in the Constitution. What the Constitution says is that the government cannot emit bills of credit, and that they can't make anything else besides gold and silver money and paying their debts. And I think that kind of the best way to go about that is, on a sound money level, is actually contain the damage first. Like I'm an engineer, so you have a problem, you contain it first, then you figure out the root cause, and then you take actions to solve it. So to contain the problem of excessive government spending, and money creation and everything, you have to stop that first. That has to be contained. What's the root cause? Excessive federal spending. That's why a balanced budget is so important, because when we do this and we're putting our children and grandchildren into further and further debt. And on the website I have a few more ideas listed, but some of them are just open up the United States Mint and try to back our money by something. And it doesn't necessarily be that. And if you remove the legal tender laws and let people trade whatever they wish, that'll also help out with the situation. And the people in the room may or may not be aware, but when the gentleman was asking about gold, one of the funny things about gold is one of the world's largest financial markets. On the London Exchange alone, they're trading over $20 billion a day, which adds up to over $7 trillion, which is, again, a huge sum of money, but it's actually comparable to our country's GDP. Yesterday, gold hit an all-time high in dollar terms, and you say, gold's getting more expensive. That's not the case. What's happening is these central banks are panicking because they print up too much money. They're going out and buying gold. Individuals are buying the gold, and it's causing the price to go up, and it's actually the currency that's being debased. The dollar is actually being more and more devalued the further that this whole kind of charade with the banks and the bankers goes on.
So what would we use, like assets? Like we'd have to have something backing it. I mean, obviously things would have to level off at some point.
Yeah, well,
whether or not we keep
the first step really is with the current money that we have that's not backed by anything, to take that away from the Federal Reserve. And what we can do as a country, we can issue dollars, but maybe we could call them United States notes, because if you ever take out a dollar, it says Federal Reserve note. And the Federal Reserve is this organization that they print up a dollar, they might expand the credit supply by another 100 on top. Sorry?
That would be debt-free then?
Well, it wouldn't necessarily be quite as good, but what it would do is it would contain a lot of the inflation, the credit expansion that's going on. But eventually into the future, what you need to move is, to some type of sound money. It needs to be backed by something. And I think I have a couple articles that are on the website, but honestly, for a lot of folks, it might be, it's something that you kind of have to read and go on. But the Constitution has a lot of the solutions, like opening up the mint to minting coins and that sort of thing.